and you're not sitting in your chair, when I call your name, we will skip you and your case will be reset till next month. It will not be reset immediately. So please stay in your seat, pay attention. Don't lay down. Don't put your head down. Set up 5 North Booth 2. Got to look up. Set up, everybody pay attention. We're going to get through this as quickly as possible, but you have to pay attention. Pay attention to what I said. I'm going to put bond conditions on people when I post your bond. Please pay attention to those bond conditions. Those bond conditions could have things such as stay away from a location, no further contact with somebody, no drugs, no alcohol, no firearms, no weapons. It'll also maybe tell you to stay out of Fulton County. I may place an ankle monitor on you. If I do, this is a you problem, ladies and gentlemen. So you have to keep up with it. Your public defender or your attorney will forward you a copy of your bond conditions as soon as they get them. However, once again, this is a you problem. You are responsible for paying attention to your bond conditions and getting a copy of those bond conditions once you get out if you do not receive it from your attorney. If it says stay away and no further contact, if you violate that, your bond can be revoked and you will sit in the jail until your trial date. So please pay attention to your bond conditions. Everybody understand that? Give me a thumbs up. Perfect. All right. I talk a little fast, but we're going to try to get you folks out of here just as quickly as possible. I rattle off numbers per count on what your bond is going to be. I do not do the math. I'm not going to tell you a total number. So when you hear me say 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, start adding that up because that will actually be your bond. I will not give you a total. We're going to be moving a little bit too fast so that you folks can get out there, get bonded out, and get processed. All right. We will start with, you want to start with Cobb. Mr. Cho, is Mr. Cho here yet? We have Ronald Harris, Anderson.
Your Honor.
Wave your hand the best you can. Ronald Anderson, or shrug your shoulder. Thank you, sir. All right, let's see. Is Bostic on here? Have I got somebody from pretrial?
There was someone from pretrial.
Oh, there we go, Miss Jackson.
Miss Jackson today, Your Honor.
All right, Miss Jackson. Okay, this is going to be position 2. Ronald Lamar Anderson, 22 CP 213431, 128 days without indictment. There is a $15,000 good bond as of October the 25th, 2022. Possession of marijuana with intent to distribute, giving false information to a law enforcement officer, possession of drug-related objects, tampering with evidence, willful obstruction. Pre-trial.
The defendant has 15 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was July the 13th, 2021 for possession of marijuana and driving without a valid license, and that was in East Point, Georgia. There was no disposition for that arrest, Your Honor. The defendant may have received first offender when I attempted to go in it. In Odyssey, it said it was confidential, so I was unable to get into that one. But the defendant does have misdemeanor convictions. It's one in 2018 for obstruction and one in 2016 for obstruction and disorderly conduct, and one in 2015 for reckless conduct. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Jackson, I just forwarded you the pull sheet and the order we're going to go into. So the rotation, if you want to pull it down, it may help you keep up a little bit better.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, Mr. Cho, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Before you use Mr. Anderson, we had a probable cause hearing recently on the case. No new charges were added, and PC was found on all the charges. Mr. Anderson has been in jail for some time at this point, and he does have a bond. We'd ask the court to consider a reduction in half. He does have a good address. It is the same as the one listed in the jail currently. It's Meador Avenue, Meador Avenue. Mr. Anderson does have ties to the community, including his mother, who he would be residing with. And Your Honor, he's trying to stay out of trouble, trying to be a good citizen, wants to go back to school and get a job for this case. The alleged contraband in this case is marijuana. It was 10.24 grams, so less than an ounce. The other charges are not the crimes of the century, not to minimize the law in any kind of way, but I would emphasize beyond the with intent to distribute, The other charges are misdemeanors, Your Honor. We would ask the court to consider defense's request in this case. In normal times, I think this case would have been easily resolved, and we're asking the court to consider defense's request. Nothing further. Thank you.
All right, before I get to the state, Ms. Chavez, looks like the one case we have does not need your services tonight. Thank you, Ms. Chavez.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Have a
Good evening.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Broderick.
Good evening. The state hasn't heard anything that would warrant a reduction. The fact that Mr. Anderson actually, his last arrest prior to this was a year before, shows that he has the propensity to commit multiple offenses. And so we think the bond should stay the same, Your Honor.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from the East Point MARTA station and all MARTA stations, sir. You've been suspended from MARTA. That means you can't stop at a MARTA bus stop on the side of the road and tie your shoe. If your shoe comes untied, you have to walk beyond that bus stop, sit down on the curb and tie your shoe. Sitting at one of the bus stops that belongs to MARTA will be a violation of the conditions of your bond. No drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. We got 3,000 on count one, 1,500 on count two, 2,000 on count three, 2,000 on count four, and 2,000 on count five. 3,000, 1,500, 2,000, 2,000, and 2,000. You got that, Ms. Holmes?
Yes, Judge.
All right, best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. Got Ellis Dixon.
Your Honor, may I be excused?
Yes, sir, Mr. Cho. Have a good evening.
Thank you, you too.
All right, this is position 10. 22 CP 213717 Ellis Dixon, 116 days without indictment as of November the 5th. There is an $11,000 split bond, 11,000 on count one, UJR through the jail on count two, possession of cocaine with intent to distribute, possession of drug related objects. Pre-trial.
The defendant has 26 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was September the 22nd, 2021 in Fulton County for theft by conversion. That case appeared to be still pending. The case number is 21 CR 00502-7 and the letter G. Also, the defendant appeared to be on probation in Cobb County for theft by taking. That disposition date was October the 12th, 2015. Confinement 18 months, probation 8 years and 6 months. And the defendant does have an outstanding hold out of Cobb County for a probation violation. The date on that warrant is August the 16th, 2021. There's one prior felony conviction. It's in 1992 for theft by receiving stolen property. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Ms. Rosenhoover.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Dixon is 58 years old. He is a lifelong Georgia resident, and the address on file on Westover Drive is still a good address for him. He would be living with his cousin, and he also has a brother and sister here in Georgia as well. Your Honor, he made it to the 10th grade, and previously, before his arrest, he was doing car detailing work, but he's obviously currently unemployed, and he will be seeking employment if his bond is reduced. Judge, at this time, given the fact that he does have that Cobb County hold, I have been unable to get him the social services he needs. He does have a drug addiction problem. We do have a preliminary hearing next week where we'll dive into the facts more, but just so the court knows, there is a valid defense of whether he was the buyer or the seller in this case. Further, Judge, I did speak with his probation officer in Cobb, and as long as that hold is there and he's not actually taken into Cobb's custody, obviously he's in Fulton County's custody in Cobb right now, they aren't able to do anything to move that along. And so we are asking the court to release him to that hold and to that hold only. He can't make a bond. And so that would be the only way to move these cases along, short of this case being accused. Thank you.
Ms. Broderick, looks like there was 74 hits of crack cocaine, approximately 18 grams. Go ahead.
In terms of the nature of this offense, Your Honor, the state does understand, having an issue with a drug addiction. However, with the amount of substance that is at issue here, $11,000 seems an appropriate bond for the amount of substance that was there. The fact that he was actually on probation at the time these new charges were obtained shows that he has a propensity to commit offenses, even though he's already been informed of what his status is by the court. So we ask that you allow the bond to stay the same, Your Honor.
Thank you. 4 South, booth 3, stay in your seat. Do not get up and leave again. Your case will be reset till next month, and you will sit there under the status that you're at now. Stay in your seat. Reach back there and close that door behind you. All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 375 Lowry Boulevard, Joseph E. Lowry Boulevard Northwest. Let's see, sir, you're going to have an ankle monitor placed on your ankle. You'll have 48 hours to have that placed on your ankle once you're released from that hold in Cobb County. You have a 24-hour curfew except for court, lawyer, medical, and if Ms. Rosenhoover gets you into an addiction type program, you can go to that. And employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, location, and the exact and a schedule. You have to turn that over to the ankle monitoring company and to your lawyer so they can supply it to the state. 8,000 on count 1, count 2 will stay UJR through the jail. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. Is it Xavier Johnson? Ms. Beck? I'll see Miss Beck. Maybe she stepped away. Miss Beck.
Yes, I'm here. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. All right, it's position 21, pretrial. 22 CP 213921, 110 days without indictment. As of 11/12/2022, there is a $10,000 split bond on willful obstruction by use of threats or violence and misdemeanor shoplifting. Pre-trial.
The defendant has 4 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was January the 19th, 2019, for 2 counts of assault, and that was in Oregon. Those charges were dismissed, Your Honor. There were no convictions listed in the GCIC, nothing in addition.
Go ahead, Ms. Beck.
Your Honor, I'm sorry. I missed the name.
Xavier, Xaire Johnson.
Yes. Okay. So he currently has a pending ex parte. I was wondering if we could set this out for 3 months from now.
Sure, we'll set it out 3 months. You want to email me that ex parte?
Yes.
Okay, we'll
Thank
reset
you, Your
this up for, all right, thank you. Mr. Johnson, your attorney is filing a motion. It's going to be filed under seal. We'll bring you back in a couple of months, okay? Best of luck to you, sir. Ms. Robinson, you can just set it out for 3 months. She'll send me that ex parte, I'll sign. All right, let's see, Tamika Fontenot.
Program, and the program haven't started yet, but they already came to see me.
Position 7, 22 CP 2104, Ms. Fontenot, don't say a word.
Yes, ma'am.
22 CP 210404, Tamika Fontenot, 239 days without indictment. There is a $17,000 good bond as of November the 3rd. Got willful obstruction felony, simple battery against a police officer, police dog, or correction officer, and simple battery. Looks like battery was dismissed in November. Pre-trial.
The defendant has 5 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was September the 21st, 2015, with the city of Atlanta for obstruction of an officer and 2 counts of simple battery and cruelty to children in the 3rd degree and aggravated assault and a failure to appear. There was no disposition for that arrest. The defendant does have 1 misdemeanor conviction. It's in 2016 out of Clayton County, a false report of a crime. Nothing in addition.
Go ahead, Mr. Rhodes.
Judge, I have a similar announcement. There is a pending ex parte for Ms. Fontenot. I'd request, we are trying to get her into some services to put her in a better position on bond. I'd request a reset for about, again, 3 months.
Did you send me the ex parte?
I don't believe I have, but I could.
Okay, we'll reset, man, we're going to reset this out for 3 months. Your attorney's going to file an ex parte motion. As soon as he sends me the order, I will sign it. Best of luck to you, ma'am. 3 months out, Ms. Robinson. All right, let's see.
Yes, Judge, I heard you.
I can't,
I don't understand.
I can't, well, your lawyer's going to call and talk to you.
when are you gonna come and see me?
I'll see you tomorrow, Ms. Fontenot.
You know they got an attorney booth here.
I
He
know,
knows,
yeah.
he's well aware. Can you step
Yeah,
away
have you
so I can
talked-
see me?
have you talked-
Ma'am,
Have you
ma'am,
talked- oh,
ma'am. Yeah, he's gonna come see you tomorrow. Miss Hicks. Akiria Hicks is position 13. 22 CP 213838. 111 days without indictment, $5,000 good bond as of November the 10th. Financial transaction card theft. Pre-trial.
The defendant has 6 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was August the 15th, 2022, with the MARTA Police Department for simple battery. There was no disposition for that arrest. The defendant does have 2 open cases in DeKalb County, one for battery, family violence, and criminal trespassing, and one for possession of Schedule I controlled substance and criminal trespassing. The defendant does appear to be on misdemeanor probation in Fulton County for loitering and prowling. That case number is 22 CR 003390H. That disposition date was June the 14th, 2022, and the term is for 12 months. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Mr. Cazzoli.
Good evening, Your Honor. Ms. Hicks is 21 years old. She has a good address at 7510 North Indian Creek, Clarkston, Georgia 30021. She's lived there for the last 4 years with her mother, her 2 children, and her sister. She's a lifelong Atlanta resident. Her whole family is from and lives in Atlanta. Her 2 children are 5 years old, and one is turning 2, I believe, the beginning of next month. Your Honor, she is planning to enroll in classes for her GED upon release. She was previously working at McDonald's as a cashier before her arrest. Your Honor, she has some severe MH issues underlying this, and she has been successfully on meds since her incarceration, and has, in our conversations, has improved massively. Her bond is currently set at $5,000, Your Honor. I understand she has some recent history, but I did not hear any felony convictions. I only heard one potential misdemeanor conviction, Your Honor. So without significant history and no history of felonies, as well as her strong ties to the community, we are asking for the bond to be reduced from a $5,000 bond to a UJR through pretrial. Your Honor, we have no objection to the necessary check-ins to ensure that she returns to court, Your Honor. But we do just want to help Ms. Hicks get back on her feet. The only reason we're not asking for monetary amount, Your Honor, is that I learned today is that the bail project is not able to interview people who are being kept at ACDC.
Oh, okay.
So that does kind of significantly change a lot of the ways we advocate for our clients to get help, Your Honor. So for that reason, we are asking for a UJR. If the court's not inclined, we're asking for as low as you can go in terms of a good bond.
What's the address where she'll be living?
It's 7510 North Indian Creek, Clarkston, Georgia.
Okay. What says the state?
Your Honor, based on the information that has been provided, we believe that $5,000 is a very reasonable bond. She was already on probation at the time these new charges were alleged to have taken place, but we are actually willing to turn it over to Your Honor's wise discretion based on the information provided by counsel.
Mr. Cazzola, you going to do an ex parte also?
Your Honor, at the time, that's not that's something under consideration, but we would need more time before I can make that decision.
Okay, if you do, you can just send it straight to me. No
Thank you.
drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 2020 Lee Street. Ma'am, MARTA has indicated that you have a lifetime ban from MARTA. You cannot ride MARTA. You can't go to a bus stop and tie your shoe. You can't even walk into a bus station in the MARTA train station to use the restroom. You cannot go on MARTA property. You do have a lifetime ban. Stay away from all MARTA property. No further contact with Kristen, Kristin, Elliott, ELLIOT. All right. You're also going to stay out of Fulton County, ma'am. Only come back to Fulton County for court or to see your lawyer. $1,500 good bond. Best of luck to you, ma'am. You can leave the booth. Thank you, South ACDC. Rodney Ivy. Rodney Ivy. See, Casey Wright. All right, Miss Gowdy. It's position 18. 22CP213901. Casey Wright, 111 days without indictment. There is a $11,000 good bond as of November the 11th on theft by receiving stolen property and willful obstruction. Pre-trial.
The defendant has 9 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was March the 15th, 2022 for a probation violation. And that was in Clayton County. The defendant does appear to be on probation in Spalding County for possession of methamphetamine. That disposition date was March the 22nd, 2018, and the term is for 5 years. The defendant does appear to have a history of probation violations. It's one in 2022, one in 2021, and one in 2020. And that was one prior felony conviction in 2016 out of Clayton County for possession of methamphetamine. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Ms. Gowdy.
And yes, Your Honor, before the court is Mr. Wright. He is 24 years old, a lifelong resident of the state of Georgia. He does have a good mailing address with family. It is the address, I believe, that is on the case manager side, but I'll recite it for the court and for the record. At 7735 Tower Boulevard, Lot 6, Jonesboro, Georgia, zip code 30236, Your Honor. Again, lifelong resident, was working as a landscaper prior to being incarcerated in this case, Your Honor. We understand the rest history of the criminal history, Your Honor. Besides that, 2018 possession of meth. There was one other possession of meth, Your Honor. That's Mr. Wright's criminal history in its entirety, Your Honor. I don't see a history of violence, no armed robberies, no aggravated assaults, no history of firearms, anything of that sort, Your Honor. To help mitigate those concerns, Your Honor, he has been accepted into the PAD program. I did provide a copy of that letter on an amended motion that I filed into his docket earlier this week, Your Honor, that reflects his participation in the PAD program, what he'd be doing, et cetera, Your Honor. PAD will come directly to the jail to pick up Mr. Wright if the court is so inclined to release Mr. Wright to PAD only. And so as it relates to bond, Your Honor, we're asking for the court to reduce bond to UGR to the PAD program only. If the court is not inclined to grant UGR to PAD only, we're asking for a good bond not to exceed $5,000 total, Judge.
Ms. Gowdy, did I send that back to you already?
What was that?
Did I already sign that and send that back to you?
I didn't send over a transport order for this one or a release order for this one yet, Your Honor, because of the bond amount.
Oh, okay.
But
All right.
there was another person who was released to PAD earlier this week, Your Honor.
Okay, that's the one I saw. All right, go ahead, Ms. Broderick.
Your Honor, the state has no objection to release to the program only.
Okay. And they'll have him living in Fulton County?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 461 North Central Avenue in Hapeville, Georgia. Unless they place you in Fulton County to live, sir, you're gonna have to stay out of Fulton County unless you're here for court or to see your lawyer. So if they place you somewhere else to live, other than Fulton County, you stay out of Fulton County. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and put 5,000 on count 1, 500 on count 2 as a bond amount, and no further contact with NITASHA, last name DIOUF, and or release to PAD only. So, sir, if you don't get into the PAD program, you can pay that money, that $5,500, and still get released on bond.
Your Honor, are you inclined to place an ankle monitor on the defendant?
Sure, ankle monitor, 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, a schedule, the exact location you will be working, and also participating in anything they require in the PAD program.
Yes, ma'am. Can I say?
No, sir, you probably don't want to. Ms. Gowdy does not like for her clients to say one word, and you've already said 3. Best of luck to you, sir. Ms. Gowdy will get in touch with you. You can go ahead and leave the booth. All right, Rodney Ivy, are they here yet? Marietta Annex? Alpharetta? Not yet. Thank you, Marietta Annex. No Alpharetta yet. All right, Philip Tucker. Wave your hand if you're Philip Tucker. No Philip Tucker. What about Courtney Cheatham? Nope. What about Jonathan Brown? All right, Mr. Brown. Ms. Correa. All right, it's position 4 on one of the add-on calendars. 22 CP 209424, Jonathan Brown. 227 days without, hold on a second. 278 days without 277 days, excuse me, 277 days without indictment, $10,000 good bond as of August the 30th, theft by receiving stolen property, felony, pre-trial.
The defendant has 16 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was February the 8th, 2022 in Fayette County for a probation violation. The defendant does appear to be on probation in Fayette County for theft by shoplifting, a felony. That disposition date was April the 27th, 2021, and the term is for 5 years. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Correa.
Thank you, Your Honor. In regards to Mr. Brown, he has been in custody for a little just shy of 1 year. The address reflected in Odyssey is a good address for him. I have been in contact with his family. We did have a preliminary hearing in this case. An officer did appear. I have also filed a request for this case to go through accountability court. And when I was speaking with the accountability court people, they said that the only thing holding him up from going through accountability court is because they cannot make contact with the complaining witness in this case. So at this time, I'm asking Your Honor to reduce the bond. If the state is unable to make contact with their complaining witness in this case, then that is a burden that they will have, that is a hurdle that they will have to cross at some point. But I don't think that at this stage, Mr. Brown should have to suffer because of that. He is prepared to take responsibility for his actions. He is prepared to make adjustments to his life so that way he can make better choices moving forward, and just is not being afforded that opportunity because this complaining witness is contactless, to the point where I was actually asked if Mr. Brown knew who this person was and if Mr. Brown had this person's contact information. Mr. Brown does not know this person. Mr. Brown does not have this person's contact information. I'm asking Your Honor to reduce this bond and at minimum by half at $5,000. Since accountability court won't accept him at this stage, we want to look into other options that our office partners with, so that way he is prepared to go into some kind of rehabilitative therapeutic process.
All right. Ms. Broderick.
Your Honor, we absolutely understand Ms. Correa's position. The concern is that Mr. Brown has he was already on probation when these allegations were made, and he has previous theft history. We think $10,000 is reasonable based on the circumstances that Ms. Correa described. We would leave it to Your Honor's discretion.
Right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with Dominique, Dominique, Venters, Vinters. $5,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I'll also send this to this name up to Ms. Willis. All right.
I appreciate that.
Joseph Meadows. All right, looks like Joseph Meadows has 2 cases. This is one of the add-ons, and then number 22. 22 CP 213935, 110 days without indictment. There is a $10,000 split bond. There's $10,000 on one and no bond on count 2, a theft by taking and entering an automobile or a motor vehicle with the intent to commit a theft or a felony. Then on the second case, 22 CP 213922, 110 days without indictment. There is a $5,000 split bond, no bond on entering an auto with or motor vehicle with intent to commit a theft or a felony. And there is bond on loitering and prowling and criminal trespass. Pre-trial.
Okay, if you would bear with me for just a moment, Your Honor, I apologize. All right, the defendant has 9 cycles. I'm just going through the record right now. Well, I apologize. The defendant has 33 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was August the 29th, 2022 for theft by receiving stolen property. And that was in Cobb County. The defendant also appeared to be on probation in Fulton County for loitering or prowling and criminal trespassing. That case number is 22-CR00604-6Y. That disposition date was September the 22nd, 2022, and the term is for 12 months. The defendant does have prior felony convictions. Just scrolling up here. There's one in 2021 for entering an automobile and possession of tools for commission of a crime. One in 2018 out of Cobb County for entering an automobile. One in 2016 for theft by receiving stolen property. One in 2010 for theft by receiving stolen property. I could go on. Do you want me to stop after 2010 or do you want to continue?
That's good. Go ahead, Ms. Beck.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Meadows is 48 years old. He has one child, a 2-year-old son who does live in Georgia. He has his GED. He's a lifelong resident of Georgia. Prior to his arrest, he was working for JMA Placements, which is a staffing service, and he had worked there for the last 8 to 9 months, and he feels confident he could get that job back. The address on file is still a good address, and he lives there with his mom. We are asking for a bond not to exceed $25,000 total across both cases, please.
And he lives on Ralph McGill.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Broderick.
Your Honor, I may be mistaken. It looks like number 22 has a $5,000 bond on it.
Except for count 1 has no bond.
Okay, we would ask for $15,000 for that one, as well as $15,000 on the other two each, Your Honor, based on the fact that there's a history of theft charges, as well as the length of time between these offenses and the ones prior to it. And so we believe that the amounts that we are asking are appropriate, Your Honor.
All right, on the one ending in 3935, Ms. Holmes. Got no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with Edgar Hernandez. Stay away from 375 Ralph McGill Boulevard. Stay away from 530 Piedmont Avenue. Sir, you're going to have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew except for court, lawyer, medical, and employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, a schedule, and the exact location that you're going to be working. You have supplied that to the ankle monitoring company and to Miss Beck so that she can supply that to the state. Do not let that ankle monitor go dead, sir. They'll revoke your bond. I'll lead step by taking it 10,000 and put 10,000 on count 2. On position
Your Honor,
20.
I'm sorry. He lives on Ralph McGill Boulevard. Is it possible for there to be an exception for that area?
Well, how far is it from 375? Because that's where he's allegedly entering autos.
Just based on the numbers, I would guess close, but I'm not positive. It's 400 and 375.
The one's on Piedmont. Let's see. I don't know if it's at a split in the, like he's on the other side of Ralph McGill. It's at an intersection.
I'm really not sure.
Yeah. Sir, are you at least 25 yards from that house? Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. All right, Madam Clerk, you can make it 25 yards, but 200 yards from Mr. Hernandez and definitely 200 yards from 530 Piedmont Avenue. So a little common sense has to apply there, okay? Number 22, ending in 3922. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 530 Piedmont Avenue Northeast. No further contact with Sharona, SHARONNA Henderson, HENDERSON. And also stay away from 375 Ralph McGill Boulevard. You're going to have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, except for court, lawyer, medical, and employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, the exact location, and a schedule you'll be working. Sir, that does not mean you go hang out at Chipotle for 3 hours. You work, you go straight home. So I'll put 10,000 on count 1 2,000 on count 2, and 2,000 on count 3. 10,000, 2,000, and 2,000. Best of luck to you, sir. That ankle monitor will be paid for by the county. You can leave the booth. Anthony Greer. All right, let's see.
Afternoon, Your Honor.
Hold on. Do I have Rodney Ivy yet? Did Alfreda come on yet?
Judge, I haven't seen them come on. I'll check with Lieutenant McDaniel.
Okay, I saw courtroom 1, so I wasn't real sure if that was, I think that's still, I think because we're finished with courtroom 1 if that's Marietta Annex.
I think there's a courtroom that stays on just for monitoring purposes.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that's that courtroom.
All right, Mr. Greer, wave your hand. All right, it's position 3. Anthony
Yes.
Greer, 22 CP 212513, 163 days without indictment as of September the 21st. There is a $10,000 good bond, burglary in the 2nd degree. Preach from.
The defendant has 46 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was July 11, 2022, with Marta Police Department for possession and use of drug-related objects. There was no disposition for that arrest. The defendant does appear to be on probation in Fulton County, misdemeanor. That case number is 22 CR 003388 and the letter B, for theft by taking. That disposition date was June the 14th, 2022, and the term is for 12 months. The defendant does appear to have a history of probation violations. There was one in 2020 and 2 in 2018, and the defendant does have prior felony convictions. There was one in 2017 out of Bibb County for aggravated assault, one in 2005 out of Hall County for possession of controlled substance. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Mr. Scarborough, and confirm an address where he'll be living.
Your Honor, he doesn't have a stable address right now. And I'll tell you, Mr. Greer is 42. He's a lifelong resident. He's not on any felony probation. I appreciate being informed about the misdemeanor probation. Your Honor, here's the thing. In his other cases, which are extremely similar, Judge Locke in one case and Judge Mao in the other have set a $10,000 good bond. I think because of his acute poverty, it would be reasonable to cut that in half, but that's not really my emphasis today. Here's the thing. In each of these cases, literally the same location. He is alleged to go into the same place of business, reach over, grab some chips, some cigarettes, some low misdemeanor type item and leave. These are the 2nd degree burglaries and literally the same location. It's a cluster of conduct. And it's not devious, it's just numb to the world. This has got addiction written all over it. He has had success with other substance abuse programs, including a good many months clean through the Salvation Army recently. I just came into this case. The primary ask here, I'm going to want to come back to you as soon as I can with a placement for a program because he wants to get sober, and that's what all of this is about. No violence is offered to any individual. It's just walking into this place, grabbing stuff and leaving because he's out of his mind at the time. I was able to have good conversation with him while his head is clear and he's sober. And if Your Honor would, I think just impose the same bond in this case as was imposed in the extremely similar other incidents. It all happened right about the same period of time. We're just talking about a cluster of conduct. I want to see him get into a program we can get where he can get sober. That second reason is that he has got no stable place to live. The first reason is that that's the way he's going to turn himself around with some sobriety. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, what's the state?
Your Honor, as stated before, we understand addiction issues. Of course, theft is also an issue that needs to be addressed. Regardless of the amount of the value of the items, we still have to make sure that the defendant is not continuously committing the same acts. The fact that the last arrest was less than 6 months before this one, and he was already on probation, gives us significant concern about the behavior. We believe that 10,000 is reasonable based on the information that was just provided. And also because there's no stable residence, there's no acceptance into a program at this point. We have concerns about whether or not he would be able to be located and returned to court when necessary. So, Your Honor, we are asking that you leave the bond amount as is.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 881 Peachtree Street. Sir, you have to stay away from all Dollar General stores. Do not go back there at all. You're going to have to supply an address where you're going to be living to be released. So he's going to get you into program. Hopefully you'll find some housing. You have to supply an address where you'll be living. $5,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth.
Thank you, Your Honor. And for the record, we'd like to note the assertion of its constitutional speedy trial rights after 163 days in custody. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
May I be excused?
Yes, sir.
Have a good afternoon.
All right, you too. I think I got Alfred on here. Rodney Ivy. I think that's you. All right, Ms. Beck. All right, this is position 2022 CP 213912. Rodney Ivy, 110 days without indictment. There is a $6,000 good bond as of November the 12th for possession of cocaine. Pre-trial.
Sorry, Your Honor, just a moment, please. The defendant has 31 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was July the 8th, 2022 for possession of marijuana with the intent to distribute and possession of cocaine with the intent to distribute. That case was dismissed on October 31st, 2022. The defendant does have prior felony convictions. There was one in 2007 for the sale of cocaine, one in 2004 for possession of controlled substance, and one in 1998 for possession of marijuana with the intent to distribute. The others are going to be like in the 80s and the early 90s, if you like to hear those, gentlemen.
Oh, that's okay. Go ahead, Ms. Beck.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Ivy is 64 years old. He is an Army veteran. He served from 1974 to 1976. He was honorably discharged. He received his GED, and he's a lifelong resident of Georgia. The address of 4050 Wendell Drive, Southwest in Atlanta, Georgia, is still a good address for him. We have been having our social worker work with him. He has a drug dependency issue that he's interested in working on. So we are trying to get him into a program. We're asking for bond not to exceed $3,000, Your Honor.
5 North, booth 2. I don't know what you're doing with your hands. Don't do it anymore. Keep your hands down. I don't want to see anything else. All right. What says the state?
Your Honor, we will leave to your discretion. The difference between 5,000 and 6,000 that I think it's already set at seems like a non-issue that would hold up the situation. I understand, like I said, the chemical dependency is an issue. So we will leave it to your discretion, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Ivy, I was in the Army too, the real military. You need to reach out to the VA and get some help.
Your Honor,
okay? Just say okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with your co-defendant. LATAVIA Vinson, VINSON. Stay away from 3665 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive. And one of your bond conditions, you have access to the VA, you have benefits?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
Okay, I want you to reach out to the VA and help Miss Beck help you, okay? Get you some help. They can help you. They got a lot of, it may take you a minute to get there, but you got to be the squeakiest wheel to get there, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Make sure you get there for me.
I will.
All right. Hoorah. $3,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Alfredo.
Thank you.
All right. JB Brown. JB Brown. Nope. What about Kevin Whiteside? Thank you, Mr. White. Is that you, Mr. White? Thank you. All right, Mr. Lane.
I'm covering for Mr. Lang.
Oh, okay, it's position one on one of the add-ons. 22 CP 213925, 109 days without indictment. There is a $6,000 good bond as of November the 12th for possession of tools and commission of a crime, theft by taking, misdemeanor. Pre-trial.
Just a moment, Your Honor, I just pulled it up.
Thank you, Miss Jackson.
Mhm.
Gentlemen, y'all were supposed to clap. That was my best line.
The defendant
Thank you,
has
thank you, thank you,
56
thank you.
cycles. I'm reading straight from the GCIC, so please bear with me.
All right.
The defendant's last arrest was June the 14th, 2020 with the City of Atlanta Police Department for a criminal attempt to commit a felony and theft by taking. And that theft by taking was a misdemeanor. There is no disposition for that arrest. I'm just scrolling up to see if there are any convictions for you, Your Honor. I do see a probation violation was in 2017 and a failure to appear was in 2017 so far.
All right.
See an additional probation violation. I'm just looking for the date.
That's cool. Go ahead, Miss Beck.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Whiteside is 57 years old. He's lived in Georgia for most of his life since 1987. He does have a good address at 520 Park Avenue, apartment 3 in Atlanta, Georgia, and he lives there with his niece. He has 4 children. He's a high school graduate of Towers High School in Decatur, and he also received his bachelor's in primary education from Tuskegee University. Yeah, I'm sorry. In 1989. We are asking for a bond not to exceed $4,000, Your Honor.
You have an address he's going to be living at?
Yes, the 520 Park Avenue address, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Ms. Broderick.
We have no objection, Your Honor.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from all Georgia Tech property, all Georgia Tech campuses, sir. If somebody's wearing a Georgia Tech t-shirt, that's Georgia Tech property. Turn around and walk away from them, okay? Stay away from 515 Centennial Park Drive. No further contact with Norris Jackson.
And Your Honor, can you also impose an ankle monitor based on the FTA history?
Okay, you can have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment. As long as you supply the place of employment, proof of employment, a schedule, the exact location you're going to be working, and supply that to the ankle monitoring company and to your lawyer, sir. If you don't do that, that'll be a violation of your bond conditions. But don't make it anywhere around Georgia Tech property. $2,000 on count 1, $1,000 on count 2. $3,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. Kevin Crawford. No Kevin Crawford. Arkeen McDowell. All right. It's position 19, Ms. Gowdy. 22 CP 213902. 110 days without indictment. Theft by receiving stolen property. November the 11th, 2022. No bond. Pre-trial.
All right, I'm pulling it up now, Your Honor. Defendant has 29 cycles. I'm reading from the GCIC. The defendant's last arrest was October the 26th, 2022 in Douglasville, Georgia for a failure to appear. And prior to that, actually the defendant is currently on probation in Douglas County for possession of cocaine. That disposition date was October the 26th, 2022. The term is for 3 years. And the defendant appeared to be on probation in Paulding County for theft by shoplifting. That disposition date was April the 12th, 2022. The term is for 6 years, 2 months, and 27 days. Also, the defendant is on probation in Cobb County for, let me see, for 5 counts of theft by shoplifting. And that disposition date is January the 12th, 2022. And the term is for 4 years. I do see the defendant has an additional open probation case in Cobb County. It may run concurrent with that last case. So possession of cocaine and theft by shoplifting. That disposition date was January the 12th, 2022, and the term is for 2 years. I do see a misdemeanor case that's out in Douglas County. Well, actually, it's not a misdemeanor. The defendant does appear to be on probation in Douglas County for theft by shoplifting. That disposition date was October the 26th, 2022, and the term is for 4 years and 6 months. See a failure to appear that was in 2020. See a probation violation that was in 2018. See a parole violation that was in 2016.
All right, that's good. I think that's good, right, Ms. Gowdy? You can work with that. Go ahead, Ms. Gowdy.
Yes, Judge, before the court is Mr. McDowell. He's 29 years old, Judge, lifelong resident of the state of Georgia. He's been in custody for over 90 days, Your Honor, without an indictment, without a preliminary hearing, and a no bond status, Your Honor. As such, he is entitled to a bond as a matter of law. If released on bond, he does have a good address. It is 721 Redland Drive. That's Atlanta, Georgia, zip code 30318. As it relates to bond conditions, Your Honor, he has no concerns or no issue with the no further contact provision as it relates to the listed victim in the case, Your Honor. I do believe that the property in question was a vehicle, stolen vehicle, for the theft by receiving charge, Your Honor. Upon the review of the GTIC, Your Honor, no history of violence, just mostly a history of thefts. We're asking for a good bond not to exceed $10,000. I do anticipate a probation hold popping up down the line, Your Honor. And if one pops up, we'd ask for UJR to the probation hold only, Judge.
So it looks like I've got 721 Redland Drive, Jonesboro, Georgia, 30238.
And I could have misspoken, Your Honor. I apologize.
That's okay. Go ahead, Ms. Broderick.
Your Honor, based on the lengthy history of theft and FTAs, we are suggesting a $30,000 bond, Your Honor. And the fact that there was active probation from, I believe, 3 different counties shows that there is a propensity to commit offenses while under sentence, Your Honor. And so we believe 30,000 is reasonable.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay out of Fulton County, sir, unless you're here for court or to see your lawyer. Don't get on 285, don't get gas, don't get a flat tire, don't stop for lunch. Straight to court, straight to see your lawyer, straight home. No further contact with Prince Johnson. Stay away from 820 Fairburn Road. That's in Fulton County, so you shouldn't have an issue with that. You can have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, except for court, lawyer, medical, and employment. As long as you supply proof of employment, name of your employer, a schedule, and the exact location you'll be working, you have to supply that to Miss Gowdy and to the ankle monitoring company. But don't forget, you cannot work in Fulton County. Don't stop in Fulton County for any reason. You're going to have 48 hours to have that ankle monitor placed on your ankle once you get released from all of those holes that you got on you around the metropolitan area. $15,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. All right, Isaac Brunson. No, Isaac Brunson. What about Nico Dawson? All right, we got Mr. There we go. All right, it's position 11. 22 CP 213798. Nico Dawson, 114 days without indictment. There is no bond as of November the 8th for criminal use of an article with an altered ID mark other than a motor vehicle, entering an automobile or other motor vehicle with intent to commit a theft or a felony, receipt, possession, or transport of a firearm by a convicted felon or first offender, criminal trespass and damage to property, possession of marijuana less than an ounce. Pre-trial.
The defendant has 6 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was August the 12th, 2022 in College Park, Georgia for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon and possession of marijuana with the intent to distribute and possession of a firearm during commission of a felony. That case appears to be still pending. That case number is 22 CP 211434. The defendant does have an open case pending in Clayton County for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. And the defendant does appear to have an additional open case pending in Fulton County for possession of a firearm during commission of a felony. That case number is 21 CP 201058. And actually is 2 other charges attached to that case. Is 2 counts of armed robbery. And the defendant also appeared to be on first offender probation for robbery and aggravated assault. That case number is 16 SC 145604. That disposition date was November the 18th, 2016. 5 years of confinement and 3 years of probation. That case was sealed October the 27th, 2022. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Mr. Houston.
Yes, Your Honor. Before you have Mr. Dawson, he is 24 years of age. The address on file is good and confirmed. He lives at that address with his sisters, his nieces, nephews, and his own kids. He's been in Atlanta, Georgia his entire life. He does have 2 children, a 2-month-old and a 3-month-old. His entire family lives here in Georgia. He does have a 12th grade education from Banneker High School. And he did work with Amazon delivery drivers for about a year and a half prior to his incarceration. Your Honor, in terms of bond, we will be asking for $2,500 on the criminal use of an article, and for the entering auto, $5,000. For the convicted felon or felony, we would were in possession of a firearm, we would ask for $5,000, and for the criminal trespass and damage to property, $2,500. For the marijuana possession less than an ounce, $500, Your Honor. Thank you.
So I see that probation violation of Judge Schwall. Is that still pending?
My understanding when I just looked at it, it had already been resolved.
Okay.
But I can go in now and just to double check, not to misrepresent to the court.
Okay. Just checking. All right. What says the state?
Your Honor, based on the fact that he was already under sentence at the time these offenses were committed, we are asking for $15,000 on the criminal use, $15,000 for entering an auto, $15,000 for possession of a firearm, $5,000 for the criminal trespass and damage to property, and $1,000 for the marijuana, totaling $51,000.
Let's see. Is he going to be living in Fulton County, Mr. Houston?
Yes, Your Honor, in College Park.
College Park. Okay. All right. No drugs unless prescribed. No alcohol. No weapons. No further contact with Benderick, Benedrick, middle name Harvell, Harvell, last name Redding, Redding. I think I already said no drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with your co-defendants. Terrabvious, last name Dawson, Dawson, and Dion, Deone, James. Those are your co-defendants. No further contact with them. Stay away from 7882 Sonoya Road in Fairburn, Georgia. You're going to have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, except for court, lawyer, medical. Does he have a job? I don't know if he's going to have a job. Looks like maybe they're going to revoke. So they could revoke the bond on the other because he had another possession of a firearm. Is he going to have a job?
He was previously working for Amazon. I'm quite sure that he will be looking for employment upon release.
All right, employment, as long as you supply proof of employment, the name of your employer, schedule, the exact location that you're going to be working, sir. You have to supply that to the ankle monitoring company and to your attorney so they can supply it to the state. No stopping at Chipotle for 3 hours for lunch. Now you go straight to work, straight home, or straight to the doctor and straight home. 10,000 on count one, 15,000 count two, 25,000 on count three, 5,000 on criminal trespass, and $150 for possession of marijuana less than an ounce. 10,000, 15,000, 25,000, 5,000, and 150. You got that, Ms. Holmes?
Yes, Judge.
All right. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. Chard Williams. No, what about Little Barber or Barber Little? All right, looks like we got 1, 2, 3 cases. Position 5, 22 CP 214043, 104 days without indictment, no bond as of November the 18th, entering an auto or a motor vehicle with intent to commit a theft or a felony, theft by taking felony, 104 days without indictment for 22 CP 215011, entering an automobile or a motor vehicle with intent to commit a felony or a theft, no bond as of December the 29th. Then we got 22 CP 214081, 104 days without indictment. There's a $5,000 split bond, meaning $2,500 on each count of theft by taking and no bond on entering an auto with intent to commit a theft or a felony. 104 days without indictment. Pre-trial.
The defendant has 11 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was December 1st, 2021 for 6 counts of theft by receiving stolen property and identity theft fraud, and entering an automobile with the intent to commit theft. And that was in Clayton County. The defendant does appear to have an open case pending for the violation of the Georgia Controlled Substance Act and possession of controlled substance Schedule 1 or 2 with the intent to distribute, and possession of ecstasy and possession of cocaine with the intent to distribute 1,000 feet of a school, and a DUI, and possession of marijuana less than an ounce. That case number is 20 CP 193288. The defendant does appear to have some felony convictions. Well, actually, he has one that was out of Clayton County. It's in 2018. That was a first offender for theft by taking. Yeah. And let me see what else. It seemed like he has something else still pending. The last arrest that's in Clayton County is still pending.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Gowdy.
And yes, Judge, before the court is Mr. Barber. He is 23 years old, Judge. He's a lifelong resident of the state of Georgia, Your Honor. He had good employment working for DoorDash prior to being incarcerated in this case, Judge. If released on bond, he does have a good address within Fulton County. That address is as follows. It's 3804 Adamsville Drive, Southwest Atlanta, Georgia, 30331. Like I said, he resides here currently with his family, Your Honor. In terms of the other Ayala factors, Judge, namely the risk to reoffend, I understand he has a couple open cases pending, Your Honor, but upon my review of the GCIC, Your Honor, he has no felony convictions. That case back in 2018 was the first offender that was sealed back in 2020, Your Honor. Additionally, there is no history of violence in Mr. Barber's criminal history, no history of firearms, no assaults, armed robberies, anything of that sort, Your Honor. And then lastly, I will note that he is a father. As it pertains to bond, I'll just go straight down the calendar for 22 CP 214081. That's an entering auto. We're asking for a good bond not to exceed 3,000 for that case. With the stay away from the incident location, Your Honor. For 22 CP 214043, that one is an entering auto theft by taking. Both of those are no bond status. We're asking for a $3,000 good bond for each of those offenses, Your Honor. Again, no further contact, stay with incident location. And lastly, 22 CP 215011. That's an entering auto as well, Your Honor. We are again asking for a good bond not to exceed 3,000 on that case with a stay away from the incident location, no further contact provision, and whichever other conditions to ensure his return to court at a later date, Your Honor. Although I don't think he'll have any issues with that, Your Honor. There are no FTAs in his criminal history, Judge. Thank you.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Broderick.
Your Honor, based on what we see here, it looks like the incidents were all alleged to have taken place within 2 weeks of each other. From what I understand, if I'm not mistaken, the allegations talk about the fact that where he was committing these, allegedly committing these acts involved the DoorDash job that he had. We're actually, and I believe he was out on bond when these offenses were committed, Your Honor. We're actually asking for entering an auto for position 5, 30,000, theft by taking 10,000, position 6, 30,000, position 7, 2,500 for both theft by takings and 30,000 for entering an auto.
All right. See, on position 5, ending in 4043, Ms. Holmes, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with Mario Malcolm. Stay away from 5065 Old National Highway in College Park. You're going to have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, and employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, a schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. Don't think it's going to be DoorDash, so no DoorDash, sir. We got 15,000 entering an auto and 10,000 theft by taking. Position 6, ending in 5011. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 2110 Godby Road in Atlanta, Georgia. No further contact with Katara, last name Williams. You're gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, except for court, lawyer, medical, and employment, but not DoorDash. Got to provide proof of employment, is scheduled, the exact location you'll be working, and you have to supply that to the ankle monitoring company and the proof of employment and to your lawyer who can supply it to the state. 20,000 on entering auto. Position 7, ending in 4081. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with SHANECA, Gibbons, Gibbon, GIBON, and no further contact with Kenya Allen, ALLEN. You're gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply, once again, name of employer, proof of employment, location, and a schedule. You're gonna supply that to the ankle monitoring company and to your lawyer who can supply it to the state. Stay away from 5068 Old National Highway in College Park. As a matter of fact, stay off Old National Highway, period. You have 48 hours to have that ankle monitor placed on your ankle if there are any holds, sir. 2,500, and then 20,000 on entering auto. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. What about Mr. Benitez Sosa? All right, Ms. Rosenhoover. This is position 1, 22 CP 213982. Freddy's Benitez Souza, 200 days without indictment. You have a $2,500 good bond on interference with the government property. Free trial.
The defendant has 17 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was October the 18th, 2022 in Gwinnett County for a failure to appear. The defendant does appear to be on first offender probation in Gwinnett County for possession of cocaine. That disposition date was October the 13th, 2022. The term is for 3 years. Also, the defendant has an outstanding hold out of North Cross, Georgia for a failure to appear. The date on that warrant is October the 17th, 2022. I apologize, Your Honor, that first offender case in Gwinnett County was sealed October the 13th, 2022. And the defendant does have a history of failure to appear. It's one in 2019 and one in 2022. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Rosenover.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Benitez Sosa is 26 years old. He's resided here in Georgia for the past 10 years, and I was able to verify the address with his mother. It's 6055 South Norcross Tucker Road, and that's in Norcross, Georgia, and I filed a change of address for him. Judge, we did have a bond hearing on one of his other cases. He currently has 3 open here in Fulton, 2 of which are indicted. This is the last unindicted case, and it's gone on 111 days without indictment at this point. It originated from an incident in the jail where a television was broken. Judge, he made it to the 9th grade, and he has been on Social Security disability for MH issues since 2012. At this time, Mr. Benitez Sosa is fully medicated, has been stable, and we are asking for, well, really for this case to be indicted or accused so that it can follow those cases. He currently has 3 attorneys. And so we are urging the state to try to make that happen for him so that he can move along. But for purposes of today, Judge, we're just asking for a UJR jail on this particular case. Thank you.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Broderick.
Your Honor, we would leave it up to your discretion based on the fact that there are also other cases that are open and indicted.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Sir, stay out of Fulton County unless you're here for court or to see your lawyer. Don't come back to Fulton County for any other reason. Don't get gas, don't get a flat tire. Court and lawyer only.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, was there, I'm not sure if Ms. Rosenhuber mentioned it, was there a hold that was actually on Mr. Benitez Sosa?
I think pretrial did mention a hold out of another county, yes.
Thank you.
So it'll be a $1,000 good bond. Maybe you guys, and I'll email this one to that group too, since it's got 200 days. Hopefully they can get it and handle it together with the other cases.
Thank you, Judge. And that does conclude my business, if I may be excused.
Yes, ma'am. Have a good evening.
You too.
All right, Raymond Owens. Raymond Owens. All right, thank you, sir. Ms. Beck. This is position 922 CP 213710. Raymond Owens, 117 days without indictment. Got no bond as of November the 5th. Theft by shoplifting. Free trial.
The defendant has 58 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was November the 2nd, 2022 in East Point, Georgia, for theft by shoplifting. I think that's his current case that's on the calendar. The defendant does appear to have outstanding holds. There was one out of Cobb County for theft by receiving stolen property. The date on that warrant is October the 7th, 2022. And there's one out of DeKalb County for theft by shoplifting. The date on that warrant is October the 7th, 2022. The defendant does have prior felony convictions. It's one in 2019 for theft by shoplifting, and one in 2013 out of DeKalb County for burglary. And there was another one in 2013 out of DeKalb County for theft by shoplifting. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Beck.
Your Honor, may I have one moment to get the file? I am so sorry. It's out in my car.
No, go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. I am so sorry.
No, that's okay. Ms. Robinson, did we get the other people who were missing? Is Shaheem Myers here?
The Lieutenant Conklin were working on getting them in a booth on the floor, but I will follow up. Also, they sent me an update on Mr. Brunson, Isaac Brunson.
Uh-huh.
They said he can't, he's number 12. I think he's Miss Collins' client on the calendar, position number 12. They said they can't locate him. Is the email that I received. So I didn't know if she wants to waive the client's presence or.
Your Honor, this is Robert Cazzoli on behalf of Miss Collins. I was covering her case today. So I would be uncomfortable waiving presence for a client who's not even mine.
Right, I understand. So do you want to just, do they think they've moved him to ACDC or somewhere else maybe?
I'm not sure. I can try to follow up with the jail
maybe.
if he wants to wait a few minutes and see if I can get some more information.
Let's see. Well, you want to just reset it, Mr. Cazzoli?
Your Honor, I still have another person on this calendar. So if we get to the end and there's no new information, reset would be no problem. But if we can't get it done today, that'd be preferable.
Okay, let me see who else we got here. Do we have Philip Tucker? Okay, we got Courtney Cheatham. All right, do we have JB Brown? JB Brown. Kevin Crawford. We got, let's see, what did I just say? Achard Williams. Shaheem Myers. Sawan Parrish. James English. Who is in for South? James English. Okay, there he is. You probably figured out who he was. All right.
And I'll try to follow up with Lieutenant Coughlin to see if we can get an update on some of the other ones that are not in booths.
Okay, what about until Miss Beck gets back? How about we go ahead with Philip Tucker? All right, that's 14. Mr. Cazzoli, it's 22 CP 213865. 111 days without indictment. There's a split bond, $5,000, and then UJR with pretrial wrap services on the giving a false name, willful obstruction. So there's possession of a firearm by a convicted felon or first offender, giving false name, willful obstruction, or hindrance of a firefighter. 111 days without indictment. Retrial.
The defendant has 12 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was November the 19th, 2015 in Fulton County for theft by taking and a probation violation. The defendant does appear to be on probation in Fulton County for theft by taking. That case number is 15 SC 139867. That disposition date was May the 26th, 2016. 10 years of confinement and 9 years and 6 months of probation. And the defendant does have prior felony convictions. There's one in 2011 for possession of cocaine. There was another one in 2011 for burglary. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Cazzoli.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Tucker is 31 years old. He is a lifelong Atlanta resident. Up until this morning, Your Honor, he was residentially challenged until I got information from Ms. Wiggs, the Fulton County reentry coordinator, that he had been accepted into the Salvation Army for housing. So I don't have any details on that because, again, that was just passed through today. Your Honor, and I believe that they are going to be doing more than housing, but again, I would need some confirmation on that. He has an 11-year-old child. He has his GED. Your Honor, we are asking for his bond to be reduced either to a UJR to the Salvation Army. And if there is some hiccup there, Your Honor, and we don't want to blanket UJR, make it a condition. So it's UJR to the Salvation Army or a bond of $2,500, which would have his current bond of $5,000.
So, Mr. Cazzoli, I'm not sure how much this is going to hold him up, but on here, there's some juvenile warrants that are hanging out there. I don't know what happens with that or if it comes into play when he goes to bond out. I mean, they're from 2015.
Understood, Your Honor. You know, I've seen that he does have a few different things that are kind of hanging over. So we would just ask for the best possible circumstances with what we can control right now, and if there are more hiccups, we'll deal with those at that time.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Broderick.
Your Honor, we would actually leave it to your discretion. We believe the $5,000 is appropriate, but in light of the information provided by counsel that Mr. Tucker has been accepted into a program, we would accept whatever Your Honor is considering.
All right, and whoever did this, Judge Oliver put wrap services. Is he still in need of that, or does there need to be some sort of ex parte?
No ex parte at this time, Your Honor. The wrap services, again, I'm not exactly sure at this time what the Salvation Army is going to be doing for him, other than providing housing. We have no objection to maintaining the UJR with wrap services for the charges that already have that. We would just ask that the gun charge be reduced to $2,500 or a UJR to the transport.
All right, so no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 2340 Cheshire Bridge Road. Also, you're going to have the ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, except for court, lawyer, medical, employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, a schedule, and the exact location you'll be working. And anything that Salvation Army gets you, any kind of program they get you into, you can participate in that as long as you let the ankle monitoring company know and Mr. Cazzoli. Also, it'll help you when you participate in any wrap services, but you just have to let the ankle monitoring company know what's going on so they won't revoke your bond. 2,500 count one, and we'll leave the other two with UJR through pretrial with wrap services per the previous judge. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. All right, you ready, Ms. Beck? Mr. Owens, go ahead, Ms. Beck.
Thank you so much, Your Honor. Mr. Owens is 58 years old. He's a lifelong resident of Georgia. The address of 2518 Conley Drive in Atlanta, Georgia is still a good address. He lives there with his wife and his daughter. He has 7 children, and 3 of the children also live at that residence. He's a high school graduate of Walker High, class of 1984. And he owns his own business, Raymond Owens LLC Home Improvement, and he works there cleaning out and repairing foreclosed homes, and he's done that for the last 10 years. We are asking for a bond not to exceed in total $10,000, Your Honor.
All right, what says the state, Ms. Broderick?
Your Honor, the state was going to actually suggest a bond of $10,000.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Sir, you got to stay away from all Walmart stores. You cannot go into a Walmart. You can't go to the parking lot of a Walmart. Is there also Sam's? So if it's owned by Walmart, you can't go there. Stay away from 844 Cleveland Avenue in East Point, Georgia. $10,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir. If there's a, let's see, there's 2 holds. So are you asking for an ankle monitor?
Yes, Your Honor.
Right, ankle monitors paid for by the county with that 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, and employment. Sir, if you're employed by yourself, you got to show where you're going to go, a schedule, exact location. You can't be working all night long. You have 48 hours to have that ankle monitor placed on your ankle once you're released from those holds. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. All right, Courtney Cheatham. All right, Ms. Gowdy, this position 16, 22 CP 213882, 110 days without indictment. There is a $2,000 good bond on VGCSA, possession of methamphetamine, possession of marijuana less than an ounce, and possession of drug-related objects. Free trial.
The defendant has 12 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was April the 29th, 2022 in Fulton County for criminal trespassing. There was no disposition for that arrest. The defendant does have misdemeanor convictions. It's one in 2022 out of DeKalb County for simple assault, one in 2019 out of Texas for possession of marijuana less than an ounce, one in 2015 out of Florida for battery. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Gowdy.
And yes, Judge, before the court is Mr. Cheatham. He is 26 years old, Your Honor. Does have a good address. It's the address that's on the booking screen. We can use it for mail, but I will note for the court that he was interviewed by PAD last week. And so I do expect for there to be an acceptance letter, hopefully by the end of next week. He has done all of the medical necessities that are required to enter into the PAD program, including his COVID test, his TB test, et cetera, Your Honor. He did all of that information in preparation for the PAD program, Judge. I will note for the court that Mr. Cheatham has no felony convictions, Your Honor. So even in spite of the 6 arrests that pretrial just discussed with the court, Your Honor, I didn't see a history of felony convictions, didn't see a history of violent felony arrests, nor a history of him perpetually committing theft offenses within the community, Your Honor. So no risk to persons nor property in the community, Judge. I also didn't see a history of FTA in the GCIC or NCIC, Your Honor. As it pertains to bond, the bond in total is $2,000. It's very nominal, but he is unable to afford that amount, Your Honor. We're asking for a UJR to the PAD program only, or UJR with wrap services, Your Honor, whichever the court deems desirable. I will note for the court that the marijuana less than an ounce was a very small amount. The methamphetamine was approximately a gram, Your Honor, and the drug-related objects again goes along with the fact that it's methamphetamine and marijuana, Judge. So that'd be our request at this time on behalf of Mr. Cheatham.
All right, Ms. Broderick.
Your Honor, we actually believe $2,000 is an appropriate amount for the charges that are listed here. If the court does see fit to lower the bond, we would ask that you go no lower than, I guess, the possession of the marijuana less than an ounce could be reduced down to a UJR. and then 1,000 for the VGSA and 500 for possession and use of drug-related objects, only because we know Your Honor loves to have us give numbers, but we believe the 2,000 is sufficient.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Sir, stay away from all MARTA. Can't go on any MARTA, not a bus stop. Remember, if you're walking down the street, your shoes untied, you cannot sit. 4 South. What's up? There you go. All right, you can't sit down at the bus stop and tie your shoe. You got to go walk past that bus stop, sit down on the sidewalk and tie your shoe. Stay away from all MARTA, especially 2420 Piedmont Road. All right, let's see. 750 on count 1. I want to make it so, because I know if it's under 500s, 200 on count 3 and 200 on count 2. How about that? You think you can make that, Ms. Gowdy?
I doubt it, Your Honor. So like I said, if we get the pad acceptance letter by the end of next week, would yourself or 88 Broderick be willing to consent to you drive to pad only?
Sure, if you get that. So how about we make it 500, 200, and 200?
Okay. Thank you, Judge.
Okay, so and if you get that, you send that with the pad and she's fine with it. Just send me the consent order, okay? But stay away from MARTA, sir. Best of luck to you. You can leave the booth. Thank you, sir. All right, James English. This is Mr. English, right? Wave your hand if you're Mr. English. All right. All right, Mr. Pinto, this is an add-on. It's number 3 on the add-on. 22 CP 212803. James Reginald English, 153 days with no indictment. There is a $7,500 good bond on sale of marijuana as of September the 30th. Pre-round.
Okay, I'm sorry, Your Honor.
That's okay.
Okay. Give me just a moment to pull it up. I apologize.
All right, and we got the other people. I don't know if we've got an update on those, and then we got some bond motions too. But go ahead, whenever you get ready.
Your Honor, can you give me that case number again?
22 CP 212803.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
The defendant has 26 cycles. I'm just scrolling through the GCIC, Your Honor.
Is there an ex parte pending in this, Ms. Pinto? I'm just kind of observing.
No, there's not, Judge.
Okay.
All right. The defendant was last arrest was September the 7th, 2012 with the city of Atlanta for possession of cocaine. The defendant was convicted of that charge, possession of cocaine with the intent to distribute, October the 15th, 2012. And he received 10 years of, says 10 years of confinement. Let me scroll up, see what else is going on. I do see just a misdemeanor conviction. It's in 2010 in Fulton County for damaging, injuring, or interfering with property of a public utility company. It's a misdemeanor in criminal trespassing. See if there are any felony convictions. I do see a felony conviction that was in 2009 in Fulton County for possession of marijuana with the intent to distribute and possession of Schedule 1 or 2 controlled substance with the intent to distribute.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Pinto.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. English was arrested September 29th, 2022. He's been incarcerated 153 days. He's had no indictment and he has not had a preliminary hearing either. This is the first bond hearing he's had since his first appearance. He does have a bond of $7,500, but he is not able to pay that. He's 39 years old. He's lived in Georgia his entire life.
He was born in Grady Hospital, Judge. He has brothers. He has a brother and 4 sisters who all live in Georgia as well. And in addition, a stepmother, an uncle. His whole family is here. He does have his GED. He was actually applying for jobs at the time of his arrest. Literally, he filled out an application right before he was arrested. He is also trying to get on disability. He does have COPD and chronic heart disease. And so he is working on getting on benefits for that, Judge. So he has strong ties to the community. He's not a flight risk. He's not a threat or danger to any persons in the community. As you heard, his criminal history is almost entirely drug related. This is, of course, a drug case. He has no violent history whatsoever, nor is he at risk of intimidating any witnesses. This is alleged to be an undercover buy, so the witness would be an officer. So there's no concern about intimidation. We are still trying to figure out where exactly he would live if released on bond. His family is working on finding him a place. He was homeless at the time of his arrest. Unfortunately, he's having some difficulty with that. So we would ask that he be allowed to provide address at the time of his release. Mr. English is indigent. He's been deemed eligible for bond. We're simply asking for a reduction to meet his financial circumstances. The amount of marijuana that he's alleged to have possessed is a misdemeanor amount, Judge. It's 23 grams. So we are asking for an unsecured judicial release, or in the alternative, a bond of $5,000 or under, so that we could try to utilize the bail project.
Ms. Broderick?
Your Honor, the fact that most of, if not all of the previous history is drug related, provides significant concern for the state. We are actually asking that Your Honor leave the bond amount as is.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with Yolanda Bowdery. Stay away from 1974 Sylvan Road. Sir, you have to provide an address that you're going to be living upon release. And if you're trying to get disability, Social Security, sir, if you got marijuana and you got convictions, they're not going to give it to you. So you gotta break that habit, okay? $5,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth.
Your Honor, can you implement an ankle monitor considering there's an issue with the address?
Judge, if he's homeless, there's no way for him to charge an ankle monitor.
Yeah, if he doesn't have
But if he's been explained to him that he would have to provide an address, there are significant ways that he can, if he has to go to the location where they have them get the ankle monitor, where he has to charge it there. But if he's homeless, that presents an issue of whether or not we're going to be able to locate him and send correspondence when it's time for him to reappear.
I mean, he can get a mailing address. He can get his court notices. It's easier to find a mailing address than a residential address. And given that he's already been in jail for 153 days on this, I think it would present possibly undue difficulties on Mr. English if he is finally able to bond out.
All right, try to get him in some sort of program. So we'll just do a $5,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir. You got to provide an address upon bonding out. And sir, this is a you problem. So if you get court notices at somebody's house, you got to keep up with it, because if they don't let you know, then you go back to jail. Okay. All right. Best of luck to you, sir. So since we don't know the status on anyone else, we'll do these motions for bond.
May I be excused, Judge?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Gowdy, it looks like the motions for bond modification are yours.
Yes.
Until we get these, find out about these other ones. All right, so you got Donna Walters. Is Ms. Walters here?
She is.
Ms. Walters, turn your camera on, please. Ms. Walters, turn your camera on, please.
She's new to Zoom. I had to coach her how to get on here.
All right, let's move on to the next one. Taylor Hudson. Taylor Hudson, turn your camera on, please.
Okay.
Not camera. Stay on mute, but turn the camera on.
I'm sorry, it's saying it's disabled.
Gotta turn your camera on. All right, so this is number 2 on the bond modification calendar. It's 22 CP 209384 aggravated assault. She's out on a $20,000 good bond. Pre-trial. Anything I need to know?
Just a moment, Your Honor. I'll
All right.
let you know.
Go ahead, Miss Gowdy, while she's looking it up. Tell me what's going on.
So yes, Your Honor, before the court is Ms. Hudson. Your Honor, Ms. Hudson's a lifelong resident of the state of Georgia. It's my understanding she doesn't have any felony convictions, Your Honor. And if there is any prior criminal history, Your Honor, it is mostly nonviolent. As it relates to this particular incident, this is a case where there are several concerns with what the victim is telling the law enforcement, Your Honor. He's telling law enforcement doesn't know Ms. Hudson, that's a stranger crime, et cetera, et cetera. We've sent over to the state numerous accounts of information regarding the fact that Ms. Hudson does know the victim. And I do believe that the facts will show later down the line this was a self-defense case, Your Honor. But as it relates to our motion to modify, Your Honor, she is currently being promoted to a supervisor role at another branch store. She's currently working for a furniture store, and they promoted her to essentially be a manager at another store that's opening in Clearwater, Florida. I attached a copy of the offer letter as well as some of the responsibilities that she would be doing for this job in Florida, Your Honor. I actually do believe that as it relates to any concerns about victim contact, victim harassment, victim intimidation, Your Honor, her moving away from the victim while remaining on an ankle monitor will actually serve the interests of what the state is trying to do, namely protect the victim. She would be in Florida. She has a good address. That address has been provided in the motion. She'd be living with her grandmother. She'd be returning to work similar to what she's doing right now, but just in another state, Your Honor. I understand that as a condition of this bond order, she is required to live in the state of Georgia. What we're asking for is to allow the court to allow her to move to the state of Florida and still work and now accept this new role of employment, Judge.
All right, Ms. Broderick, and she has on an ankle monitor.
That's correct.
We have no objection, Your Honor.
Okay. And it is paid for by the county, right? So we'll go ahead and let her do that. Just update your address, Ms. Hudson. So when you're there, just make sure the ankle monitoring company knows your address and your schedule and things like that, okay?
Did you want to hear the history, Your Honor?
Yeah,
Thank
anything?
No.
Anything recent?
No, the last arrest was January the 30th, 2015 out of Champaign, Illinois for theft.
Okay. And Ms. Hudson, just make sure you keep it charged, okay?
Okay, thank you so
All
much.
right. Best of luck to you. All right, Dewan Evans. Donna Walters, you need to start your camera.
Start my video.
Okay, it should be working, I think.
Okay, let's see. All right, this is going to be Donna Walters. So this is 22 CP 208455. It's felony theft by shoplifting. Donna Jean Walters. You got anything on that pre-trial? Do I need to wait?
Who are we on now?
This is Donna Walters.
Yes, the defendant has 25 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was February the 21st, 2018. That was in Henry County for a probation violation. The defendant does have prior felony convictions. There was one in 2014 out of Henry County for felony theft by shoplifting, and one in 2013 out of Clayton County for felony theft by shoplifting. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Gowdy. You want to modify it?
So, Your Honor, this motion is actually twofold. Ms. Walters was released on a pretrial bond back in August of 2022, Your Honor. Per the standing order, if a person is under pretrial supervision for 4 months without indictment, that supervision is supposed to terminate, Your Honor. I do have a copy of the standing order that I can forward to Your Honor and the state as well. Considering that it is February going on March starting tomorrow, Judge, I do believe that she is due to be terminated from pretrial supervision. The reason why we filed the second portion of the bond motion modification, Your Honor, namely for her to move out of the metro Atlanta area, is that pretrial has a condition where they can only monitor within 60 miles of the city of Atlanta, Your Honor. And so with her moving further than 60 miles for the purposes of taking care of an ill loved one, she would possibly run into being in violation of the pretrial conditions, Your Honor. So if we remove her from pretrial, then the concerns about her moving outside of the metro Atlanta area will no longer be an issue because pretrial is no longer in place, Your Honor.
So where does she plan on moving to?
And the address of where she would live is also provided in the motion as well, Your Honor.
Just tell me a county because it's slow.
Columbus, Georgia.
Columbus,
Columbus,
okay.
Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Broderick. I got Odyssey pulling the bond up, so I'm trying to look.
We do have some concern, Your Honor, about the twofold request, allowing her to move, but then also removing the ankle monitor. I understand what Ms. Gowdy had mentioned concerning the amount of time that she's been monitored. So I don't necessarily know how that will factor into the court's decision. But in terms of, I didn't hear anything about any FTAs, so we would leave it up to Your Honor's discretion. But it just seems as though it's kind of a contradictory. We're asked let move and not supervising her anymore.
No, so it wasn't to remove the ankle monitors, to remove pretrial from the bond order per the standing order.
Ms. Gowdy, don't they come off after 90 days anyway?
No, it's after 4 months, Your Honor.
So
and Ms. Jackson can attest to the fact that they've been filing into unindicted CP cases their closure orders, which cite to the fact that after 4 months of supervision without indictment, they typically remove a person from pretrial supervision.
So this one will be coming off when? Next month? Ms. Gowdy?
So, Your Honor, I mean, per the standing order, she should have already been off of pretrial supervision. Because
I don't know when did she actually make the bond?
So she was placed under UJR in August of 2022. And so it's been 6 months.
Okay. Ms. Jackson, do you still have her under any pretrial supervision?
Let me check for you, Your Honor.
Okay. I didn't know if there were any holds or anything like that that was holding Ms. Gowdy. I mean, as long as all the other conditions remain in place, stay away from all targets, stay away from 2539 Piedmont Road, no drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. And also we'll just make it stay out of Fulton County unless she's here for court or to see her lawyer, and the ankle monitor can still stay on.
Yeah, no, I'm not asking for the ankle monitor to be removed at this time, Your Honor.
Okay. And you put the Columbus address in the motion. I'm sorry, it's slow pulling up.
I did, Your Honor.
Okay.
I'm just waiting on Odyssey, Your Honor. It's a little
I know
slow.
it's extremely slow. I mean, I don't have, what about that, Ms. Broderick? I mean, she'll keep the ankle monitor on and then she'll stay out of Fulton County except for court or seeing her lawyer, but she's still going to have the ankle monitor on. And Ms. Gowdy has supplied in the motion a copy of the address where she'll be living in Columbus, Georgia.
No objections, Your Honor.
Okay, that'd be fine, Ms. Gowdy. You can just submit the order to me.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Walters. You can go ahead and leave.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. All right, Mr. Evans. Looks like some people are coming into the booth. We'll go ahead and handle this one. Dewan Evans. All right, we got 22 CP 212574. Looks like there's a $5,000 goods bond. He's out for possession of controlled substance Schedule 1, possession of a knife or a firearm during the commission of a felony, window tint violation, obscured missing license plate, and rear view mirror obstruction. Anything pretrial, and go ahead, Miss Gowdy.
Your Honor, again, similar to fold requests of the court. He's been under supervision from pretrial since September, Your Honor. Again, per the standing order, his supervision per pretrial should be suspended at this point. And I spoke to his pretrial officer who noted that they had already mailed him a closure order, Your Honor, but that closure order has not been filed into his docket. And so out of Out of precaution, Your Honor, we just went ahead and filed the motion to modify because he does have a job offer. I attached the offer letter as well as the responsibilities per the job he'd be doing. That job will require him to travel out of state, Your Honor. A condition of pretrial is that the person has to remain in the Metro Atlanta area as well as for work. And so with him traveling out of state, he technically would be in violation of pretrial. But if pretrial is removed from his bond order as a condition, Your Honor, he would be able to travel out of state for work. And again, that job offer has been attached to the motion for the court's review.
Ms. Broderick?
Your Honor, same thing as the previous case. If there are, if all the other conditions remain the same, we have no objection with pretrial coming off of the case.
All right, anything popping up, Ms. Jackson?
Last arrest, the defendant has 10 cycles. The last arrest was it January the 10th, 2013 with the City of Atlanta Police Department for driving while license suspended or revoked and fleeing or attempting to elude an officer. I was just scrolling up to see if there are like any.
There are no violations in the pretrial.
Let me switch over, Your Honor.
All right, and sir, don't forget you got no driving without a valid license, insurance, registration, no drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. That will still apply. As long as there's no violations that Ms. Jackson finds and Ms. Broderick doesn't care, we'll go ahead and make those changes. So just stand by, let her check. Or you just came in the booth. Are you Mr. Parrish? Wave your hand if that's your name. Nope. What about Myers? Nope. Crawford?
Leonard Harris.
He's Leonard Harris, Your Honor. He was removed from the calendar. He was indicted.
Oh yeah, sir, your case was already indicted. It was indicted, so we won't be hearing anything tonight. You can go ahead and leave the booth.
Okay. I'm not seeing any violations, Your Honor.
Okay.
Did you see a closure order, Ms. Jackson?
I'm let's see. I'm not seeing a closure order in the notes.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, you can just go ahead and submit that to me, Ms. Gowdy.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Best of luck to you. Ms. Robinson, anything on the remaining Brunson, Parrish, Myers, Williams?
I'm not sure. Lieutenant Coughlin said he would jump on just to kind of give you an update.
Brown, let's see. LT.
Yes, ma'am. I think we had someone in 3 South. With me. It should be JB Brown in 3 South.
Let's see. Nobody's in there yet, but if he's coming.
Well, I'll call back out.
Okay.
Okay.
So it looks like they've got Isaac Brunson in 4 South 306. But then it says booking not complete. Know anything about that, LT?
Excuse me, Judge.
On Isaac Brunson, the one that said you couldn't locate, it looks like it says booking not complete, but he's located at 4 South 306.
I'll contact 4 South.
But
Ms. Walters, can you log off? Thank you.
Your Honor, there's someone in booth 3? Is that Mr. Williams?
Let's see.
I'll try to unmute him. Hold on one second. 5 North Booth.
Are you Mr. Brown? Mr. Brunson? Mr. Parrish? Mr. Myers? Mr. Williams? Wave your hand if I call your name. I can't. Crawford? Okay, now you just wait. What's your name?
My last name Williams.
Okay, Williams. All right. Okay, here you go. Mr. Kennebrew. This is Archard Williams. This is position 15, 22 CP 213867. 112 days without indictment, no bond as of November the 10th. On VGCSA, possession of controlled substance schedule 1 or 2 with intent to distribute, possession, manufacture, distribution, or sale of marijuana, and possession of drug-related objects. Pre-trial.
The defendant has 17 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was July the 27th, 2022 in Gwinnett County for a failure to appear. The defendant does have prior felony convictions. There's one in 2020 for aggravated assault. There's an additional one in 2020 for possession of cocaine. There appeared to be another one in 2020 for possession of Schedule 1 controlled substance. And the defendant received first offender treatment in 2016 for possession of marijuana with the intent to distribute and possession of controlled substance with the intent to distribute. That case was sealed August the 22nd, 2022. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Kennebrew.
Your Honor, Mr. Williams is 25 years of age. He's been in Georgia his entire life. He does have family here. His mother, his brother, his sister. He was working prior to his arrest. He has been in custody for 112 days without indictment and without a preliminary hearing on a no bond. He does have 2 children. He did graduate from high school. He was working at Family Dollar before being incarcerated. He does have a valid address where he can live with his family, i.e. his mother. We are asking for a bond not to exceed $10,000.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Broderick.
Your Honor, based on the fact that there are several previous cycles, with the most recent being an FTA, we have concerns about his ability to prevent himself from committing additional offenses, as well as showing up for court when necessary. We are actually asking for $5,000 on each count, Your Honor.
Ms. Kennebrew, you have an address where he's gonna live?
Yes, Your Honor. The address is going to be 2524 MLK Junior Drive, apartment 9106, Atlanta, Georgia 30311. That's here in Fulton County, and that's his mother's address.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 3749 Campbellton Road Southwest. You're going to have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, and employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, a schedule, the location that you're going to be working, sir. You have to provide that to Ms. Kennebrew, excuse me, and the ankle monitoring company. Looks like you had allegedly 52.6 grams of MDMA, 23 grams of weed. So we'll do, excuse me, 3,000 on, let's see, 5,000 on count 1, 3,000 on count 2, and 500 on count 3. 5,000, 3,000, 500. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth.
Thank you, Your Honor. That completes my business. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am. You can leave the booth, Mr. Williams. All right, all right, wave your hand in 3 South. Are you Mr. Brunson?
This is Mr. Brown, JB Brown.
All right, Mr. Brown, this has got 2 cases, pretrial 22 CP 213459, JB Brown, 126 days out indictment. There's a $5,000 good bond as of October the 26th on theft by receiving stolen property. Position 25 is 22 CP 213460, JB Brown, 126 days out indictment. There is a $10,000 good bond on unlawful to knowingly remove, destroy, circumvent operation of electronic monitoring device as required. Pre-trial.
The defendant has 38 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was July the 1st, 2022 for a probation violation in Fulton County. The defendant does appear to be on probation in Fulton County for 2 counts of theft by taking and 2 counts of burglary in the 2nd degree and criminal damage to property in the 2nd degree. That case number is 21 SC 177487. That disposition date was January 26, 2022, and the term is for 7 years. The defendant does have prior felony convictions. One in 2011 out of Coweta County for burglary, 1 in 2009 for theft by receiving stolen property, 1 in 2008 out of Clayton County for felony theft by shoplifting. In addition to that, the defendant has a history of probation violations, 1 in 2022, 1 in 2019, 1 in 2018, and 1 in 2015. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Mr. Rhodes.
Yes, Judge. Mr. Brown is 47 years old. He is a lifelong Atlanta resident, and he does have an address to return to should he be released on bond. That is the address on file, 2808 Altaview Drive. That's here in Atlanta, in Fulton County. He has 7 children. 4 of them also live in Atlanta. He's firmly established here. He completed the 7th grade. And in regards to it, sorry, Judge, the probation matter, we are trying to figure out still what's going on with it currently. He was scheduled for a VOP hearing that's been reset to some day I'm not sure of. I was looking in Odyssey and I couldn't find it. Furthermore, he's been in for 126 days now without preliminary hearing. And this would be his first bond hearing as well, Judge. He cannot afford any bond as it stands right now. We would ask the court to consider reducing his bond to $2,500 per charge so that we can work with a bail assistance program to potentially get him out once these FTAs are resolved, or probation violations, I should say, are resolved.
Go ahead, Ms. Broderick.
Your Honor, the fact that Mr. Brown was already on probation and still committing offenses serves as, gives us serious pause, Your Honor. We ask that you leave the bond as it stands.
Now, Mr. Brown's still going to put an ankle monitor on your ankle, and you're going to leave it on this time. Position 24, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 2836 Waters Road. No further contact with Wanda Page, Paige. $4,000 good bond. And you're going to have an ankle monitor with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, a schedule, and the exact location you'll be working. That ankle monitor will be paid for by the county. On position 25, for removing your ankle monitor, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. You're going to have an ankle monitor with a 24-hour curfew, and it's not to be removed. Court, lawyer, medical, and also employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, location you'll be working, and a schedule. You have to supply that to Mr. Rhodes and to the ankle monitoring company, sir. $8,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth.
That completes my business, Judge. May I be excused?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, so we're still waiting. Anything LT on Kevin Crawford, Shaheem Myers, Swan Parrish, or Isaac Brunson?
Not at this time, Your Honor. I've been trying to reach the deal. I believe I'm dealing with some staffing issues, but
Okay.
No contact at this time.
So everyone we'll leave it up to you guys if y'all want to waive. It looks like everybody has a bond. We've got Miss Beck, yours, Guy, Kevin Crawford has a $2,500 split bond. That one has no bond on one count. Mr. Houston, Mr. Myers has $15,500 good bond. Mr. Parrish has $25,000 good bond, and Mr. Brunson has a $16,000 good bond. We can reset it. I know none of you have probably spoken with your clients to waive. I know you haven't spoken with Ms. Collins' client to waive for Mr. Brunson, so we can just reset that, Mr. Cazzoli.
Yes, Your Honor. I've reached out to Attorney Collins to see if she has a preference for when it could be rescheduled. But if he's not here, he's not here. So.
Okay, I mean, we could just sit here if they're, I mean, we know they're short staffed, not any fault of their own, so we can reset that one. What about you, Mr. Houston, or Mr. Parrish, or Mr. Myers?
Your Honor, if you could reset mine, both of my clients have bonds. However, I have not had a chance to speak with them about waiving. So I would just respectfully request that they be that they be reset.
Okay, and what about you, Ms. Beck?
I agree with Mr. Houston. If we could just get it reset for the next available, just so that they're not waiting much longer.
Okay, I don't know if anyone has a prelim set on any of these, but if it's set for a prelim before we can get, and we'll get you back on the calendar as soon as we can. But if not, if it's a prelim, obviously if it's in front of me, we'll take up bond then too.
I have a prelim for Mr. Crawford on the 10th, so I can just ask for the bond to be.
Is that in front of me? Do you know?
No, it's in front of, well, I believe it's in front of Judge Dallas. It's on March 10th, 9 a.m.
Okay. Yeah, so that's fine. I mean, we can put it back on in case for some reason she doesn't Well, I think if it's on a nighttime counter, she doesn't do the bond, does she?
Right,
I'm
it
not
doesn't,
sure.
she doesn't address it if it's on the calendar, right. So I can try to see, I try to get them on as quickly as possible. I may have to do an add-on to a calendar. Just
If not,
because-
maybe we can get Ms. Watts to put a note in there that I'm asking her to address it or something, since, maybe we can get some sort of note to her to probably try to address it then. So we'll reset Kevin Crawford, Sawan Parrish, Shaheen Myers, and Isaac Brunson.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, folks. Anything else?
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thanks, LT.
Yes.
Good night. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. We'll go ahead and stop the stream. We got anything else we need to take up?
Attorney Gowdy wanted to talk about her client.
Yep. Ms. Gowdy, yes, go ahead.
So, Your Honor, Ms. Collins, you're correct, was a consent bond, Your Honor, but we weren't aware of the fact there was a hold. I think the fact that Mr. Hutchinson was able or willing to reduce the bond from 16,000 to 5,000, I think had the hold been there, he probably would have been willing to consent to UJR to the hold only, Judge. So that is our request. It's just UJR to the hold, because there's a reason why the bail project ultimately decided to forfeit the bond, Judge.
And that was, hold on, let me pull out that one.
Attorney Gowdy, you gotta be quick. Judge Manning talks really fast.
Yeah.
My Army days, I felt like we had to jump in there and she was gonna clip us all off.
Exactly. Hurry up and wait. Hurry up and wait. Oh gosh, don't you remember that? Hurry up and wait. What is your opinion on that, Ms. Broderick, on it's position 17? Do you need to pull it up?
No, Attorney Gowdy and I have been emailing back and forth about it. I see that it was for probation issues out of probation violation out of Douglas County. I have an issue with consenting to something that is not what Deputy Hutchinson suggested. I don't know what he would have done had he known about this. So I wouldn't necessarily feel comfortable committing to something where he's already provided his position on it.
No, but I guess my position is that if there was a hold present, I would have asked for UJR hold instead of a $5,000 bond.
Let's see. One, sorry. Have you reached out to him since then, since you found out, or no?
I haven't, because I saw she was coming up on the calendar, Judge.
Okay, hold on. What's the holdout in Douglas County? Do you know, Ms. Gowdy?
It's probation.
So, Your Honor, the original case was for theft by shoplifting, 19 CR 00736B. And then November 30th, Judge Adams signed a warrant for arrest for the violation based off of the offenses that were alleged out of Fulton County for the theft by taking, driving while license suspended or revoked.
Is she still live in Fulton County?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, the jail's already mad because we keep doing so many add-ons, but yeah, Mr. Hutchinson's number, so you could call him and ask him, because I don't.
I got you.
I will, Your Honor.
Can she make it if we reduce it to 2,000?
No, that's what we sent to the bail project.
She can't make anything.
Her grandmother's taking care of her kids right now. Grandma's on limited income, so.
Okay, let's see. Doesn't look like there's a lot on the 9th. That's next Thursday. Looks like there's
Yeah, that was the night. You want me to just add this case to the night?
Because that's a fairly short night, right, Miss
Right,
Robinson?
that was the night that you said, because a lot of those cases have been in for 200-300 days, and you said you wanted to address why some of those hadn't been indicted. Or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, that's true. We could just put this one on there, and in between there, Miss Gowdy, try to talk with Mr. Hutchinson. If y'all come up with another consent, just shoot it to me.
So add Ms. Collins, is that the one that we're adding for the night? Is her name Santisha Collins? I'm sorry.
Santisha Collins, yeah.
Okay, all right, got it.
And then, but in between there, you'll try to talk with.
Of course I will. Of course I will.
Yeah, and just email it to me if you guys work something out.
I will. I got 2 more. I'm gonna email it to you tomorrow, Judge.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Nope, that's it. Thank you. I appreciate it so much.